All right, let's talk about something that keeps executives at global companies up at night. How do you protect your most valuable assets, your ideas, your brand, your intellectual property, when your business is literally running 24/7 all over the world? It's a huge challenge, so let's dive in.
So, just picture this for a second. A huge IP crisis just blew up in Tokyo. Maybe a knockoff of your flagship product is flooding the market. But guess what? Your entire legal team, the only people who can really do anything about it, are sound asleep in New York. That's a 12-hour gap. And in that gap, well, that's not just a delay. It's an open invitation for your competitors to eat your lunch. So, what do? How do you possibly close that gap? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. We're going to look at the system that the smartest global brands use to make sure someone is always watching, ready to jump into action no matter where in the world a problem starts. Okay, first things first, we really need to get our heads around the real problem here. Because this isn't just about someone having to answer an email at a weird time. In the world of intellectual property, those time gaps you see on a world map, they're not just gaps in time, they're massive gaps in your company's armor. They're risk gaps. I mean, just think about it. While your team is completely offline, a competitor could be rolling out a total copycat product. A counterfeiter could be swamping a key market with fakes. Or heck, someone could be hijacking your brand's domain name. Every single hour you're not acting, you're losing legal options, your brand is taking a hit, and that competitive edge you fought so hard for, it's just slipping away. Now, here's the kind of crazy part. A lot of companies know this is a huge problem, right? They try to set up systems, but they still fail. So why? Well, it turns out there are these hidden traps, these really common mistakes that are incredibly easy to fall into when you're trying to manage this stuff on a global scale. And here they are. You could call them the 4 horsemen of a global IP disaster. First, you get mismatched responses. People either go nuclear over a tiny issue or completely ignore a 5-alarm fire. Then there's total confusion over who's actually allowed to make a decision, so everyone just freezes. Third, your strategy is all over the place, which just weakens your legal position everywhere. And maybe the biggest one, assuming that what works in one country will work in another. That is a recipe for absolute disaster. This puts companies in a real bind, right? It's this classic dilemma. Do you give all the power to your local teams? Sure, they're fast, but their responses can be inconsistent, weak, or even create bigger legal problems down the road. Okay, so what about the other option? Centralize everything at headquarters. Now you get consistency, but HQ becomes this massive bottleneck. By the time they approve a response, the damage is already done. See the problem? Neither of these extremes actually works. So if neither of those work, what's the answer? How do you get the best of both worlds? Well, you stop improvising and you build a dedicated system. The solution is something called an IP escalation protocol, and it's really built on a few core pillars of protection. And let's be super clear about what this is. An IP escalation protocol is not just a fancy contact list. Think of it more like an intelligence system. It's designed to automatically figure out how serious a threat is, filter out all the noise, and then instantly route the real important issues to the exact right person who needs to deal with them right now. Building one of these actually boils down to 4 really logical steps. First, you define. You get crystal clear on what's a low-risk problem versus a medium or high-risk crisis. Next, you map. You figure out exactly who is responsible for each of those levels. No ambiguity. Third, you automate. You have to get this process out of people's messy email inboxes and into a real system that tracks everything. And finally, you train. You run drills and give your teams simple playbooks so they know what to do and can act with confidence, not fear. And here's a perfect example of what that looks like in practice. This is how you take all the guesswork out of it. A low-risk thing, like a partner using an old logo? Okay, just log it, let the local team know, no big deal. Medium risk, like someone using a similar brand name on social media. Okay, that needs to get to the regional legal lead within 12 hours. But a high-risk event, a competitor filing for a similar trademark in a market you care about, that triggers a bad signal to the global general counsel immediately. Doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. See? Everyone knows the play. Okay, so once you have that foundation, once everyone knows what to do and when, now you can really solve that time zone problem. And the best way to do it is with a strategy called the follow the sun model. And it's actually a pretty brilliant idea when you see it laid out like this. Instead of one team being on call 24/7 and just getting totally exhausted, you pass the baton. So the team in the Asia-Pacific region is the front line during their workday. As their day ends, they do a clean handoff to the team in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa.
And then, as their day winds down, they hand it off to the team in the Americas. It creates this seamless round-the-clock coverage, and nobody gets burned out. But, and this is a big but, for this to actually work, those handoffs have to be perfect. You can't just fire off an email and hope for the best. This means you need standardized templates for every issue so no context gets lost. You need to require a confirmation that the next team has received it and is taking over. You absolutely have to use a central dashboard, not a million different email threads, to track everything. And you need a way to loop back and keep global leadership in the know without bogging them down. So you can have the best process in the world. You can have the fanciest technology, but it's still not enough. The final piece of this puzzle, and you could argue it's the most important one, is all about culture. Think about it. Your first line of defense isn't some high-priced lawyer in an office thousands of miles away. It's your people on the ground, your marketing team, your sales team. You have to empower them. And you do that by creating simple, visual playbooks. Get rid of the confusing jargon and the dense legalese. Just give them clear, simple steps. If you see this, you do that. That's what gives them the confidence to be your eyes and ears. Because at the end of the day, your fancy protocol is only as strong as the company culture that supports it. You have to create an environment where people feel safe and are even encouraged to raise their hand and report something that looks off. You have to celebrate the people who flag things, even if it turns out to be a false alarm, because it is way, way better to get a false alarm than to have everyone stay silent while a real threat slips right past you. So when you put all of these pieces together, the clear protocol, the follow-the-sun model, and a really supportive culture, you make this fundamental shift. You go from being chaotic and always reacting to fires to being proactive, organized, and truly ready for anything. You know, there's a quote from the source material that just nails this whole idea perfectly. It says, "Too often, IP escalation is treated as a footnote, but when a crisis strikes, that footnote becomes the front line." And that's it, right there. This can't be an afterthought. Because when things go wrong, it's suddenly the most important thing in your entire playbook. And one last thing to keep in mind. This is not a set it and forget it project. Your business is always changing. New products, new markets, new threats. Your IP portfolio is a living thing, which means your protocol has to be a living document too. You've got to review it, tweak it, and adapt it at least every 6 months to make sure it's still doing its job. So that's what we'll leave you with. Your business never really sleeps. The real question is, does your IP protection? Is it standing guard for you, around the clock and around the world, even when you're not? Thanks for watching.